changed everything. The brassy wail of a trumpet sliced through the humid New Orleans evening, stopping Mia Carter in her tracks. She was nobody special, just a 19-year-old waitress with calloused hands and a second-hand trumpet she'd bought for $20 at a pawn shop. The notes weren't coming from her, though. They poured from the grand balcony of the Royal Hotel, where neon lights framed a man in a tailored suit, his trumpet gleaming like it was forged from gold. That was Julian Voss, the millionaire jazz prodigy whose albums topped charts and whose face graced every music magazine. Mia clutched her own battered case, her heart thumping. She dreamed of playing like that, but dreams didn't pay rent. As the crowd roared below, Julian's voice boomed through a microphone. "Anyone out there think they can outplay me? Step up for a duel!" Laughter rippled through the onlookers. Mia's feet moved before her brain could stop them. She pushed through the crowd, her faded sneakers scuffing the pavement, and raised her hand. "I'll try," she called, voice trembling but clear. The crowd hushed, then erupted in chuckles. Julian squinted down, his grin sharp. "You? All right, kid, let's see what you've got." Mia's stomach churned as she climbed the stage stairs, her trumpet case banging against her knee. She wasn't here to win, she couldn't. Julian was a legend, and she was just Mia. But her little brother Ethan was back home, sick, his hospital bills piling up like a cruel metronome. The prize money Julian offered, $10,000, could change everything. She took a deep breath and faced him, her patched jacket stark against his designer suit. The rules were simple: 3 rounds, alternating solos, judged by audience applause. Julian went first, his fingers dancing over the valves, notes soaring like fireworks. Clean, bold, untouchable. The crowd screamed and Mia's confidence shrank. She lifted her trumpet, its dents catching the stage lights, and played. Her notes were raw, unpolished, but they carried a warmth, a story of late nights practicing in a cramped apartment, of hope stitched into every breath. The crowd clapped, polite but restrained. Julian smirked, leaning close. "Not bad, kid, but this is my stage." Round 2 was fiercer. Julian's melody twisted like a river, complex and dazzling. Mia answered with a soulful tune her grandfather taught her, one that felt like firelight and family. The applause grew louder for her, and Julian's smirk faltered. Between rounds, Mia overheard Julian's manager whispering about a publicity stunt, how this duel was meant to boost his image. Her heart sank. This was a game to him, but to her it was Ethan's medicine, his chance at a normal life. She wanted to quit, to run from the humiliation. But then she saw a familiar face in the crowd. Mrs. Landry, her neighbor, who'd brought soup when Ethan was diagnosed. The old woman nodded, her eyes saying, "Keep going." Mia straightened, resolve hardening. Round 3 was her last shot. Julian played a blistering solo, notes sharp enough to cut glass, and the crowd roared like a storm. Mia closed her eyes, picturing Ethan's gap-toothed smile, and let her trumpet sing. Her music wasn't perfect, it cracked, it wobbled, but it was alive, woven with love and desperation. When she finished, tears streaked her face, and the crowd was silent for a heartbeat before exploding into applause, louder than Julian's. The MC declared Mia the winner, and the crowd chanted her name. Julian's face tightened, but he raised her hand, playing the good sport. Backstage, he cornered her, his voice low. "You're good, kid, but you know this was just for show, right? Take the money, but don't expect fame." Mia's hands shook as she clutched the check. She wanted to snap back, but Ethan's face flashed in her mind. "I don't care about fame," she said. "This is for my brother." Julian's eyes flickered, something shifting behind his polished exterior. He opened his mouth, then closed it and walked away. Mia thought that was the end of it. She cashed the check, paid Ethan's hospital bills, and bought him a new comic book to read during chemo. Life went back to normal. Waitressing, practicing trumpet in the stairwell, hoping. But a week later, a letter arrived, postmarked from Julian Voss's label. Inside was an invitation to a music workshop in New York, all expenses paid, signed by Julian himself. A note in his jagged handwriting read, "You've got heart, Mia, don't waste it." She stared, disbelieving. Was this another stunt? She called the number on the letter, and Julian's voice answered. "I looked you up," he said, no trace of his usual swagger. "Your brother." "I didn't know. I've been playing for money so long I forgot what music's supposed to mean." "Come to New York, learn, teach me something." Mia hesitated. New York was a world away, and Ethan needed her. But Mrs. Landry promised to watch him, and Ethan, weak but grinning, said, "Go, Mia, blow their socks off." So she went. The workshop was a whirlwind. Teachers who'd played with legends, students whose talent dwarfed her own. Mia felt small, but she played with everything she had, her grandfather's melodies blending with new techniques. Julian was there not as a star but a student, his trumpet less flashy now, more honest. One night after a late session, he told her about his own childhood, how he'd played to escape a broken home, how fame had hollowed him out. "Your music," he said, "it's real. It reminded me why I started." The workshop's final concert was at a small jazz club, packed with locals and industry scouts. Mia and Julian were paired for a duet. As they played, their trumpets wove together, his precision meeting her soul, her warmth softening his edges. The audience was on its feet, tears in their eyes, and Mia felt something bigger than herself, a connection that stretched beyond the stage. Backstage, Julian handed her a card with a producer's name. "They want you to record," he said. "Not because of me. Because of you." Mia's throat tightened. She didn't know if she was ready, but for the first time she believed she could be. Months later, Mia's first single, a tribute to Ethan, played on radios across the country. It wasn't a chart topper, but it reached people, letters pouring in from strangers who'd found hope in her notes. Julian, too, changed. He started a foundation for young musicians from tough backgrounds, funding lessons and instruments. At its first concert, he invited Mia to perform, not as a publicity stunt, but as a partner. As they played, Ethan watched from the front row, his cheeks pinker now, his smile wide. Mia's trumpet sang not for money or fame, but for love, for her brother, her city, her heart. The world didn't stop turning, and Mia's life wasn't perfect. She still worked shifts at the diner, still worried about bills, but something had shifted. That night in New Orleans, a millionaire musician challenged a simple girl to a duel, expecting an easy win. Instead, they both found something greater: the power of music to heal, to connect, to remind us what it means to be human. Mia's melody, born from struggle, echoed far beyond that stage, touching lives she'd never meet. And in every note she carried a truth: kindness, selflessness, and a little courage can change everything.